I could not be more pleased to introduce for our final session the Commissioner and the Senior Deputy, and of course, our President, Phyllis Harrington. In the fall, I read their bios. I'm not going to read their bios today. They have impressive bios. You don't become the Commissioner of Education in New York State or the Senior Deputy without impressive bios. I'm just going to tell you a little bit about them. First, Jim Baldwin. I've known Jim for 30 plus years. Hard to believe. I know we're both youngsters, but 30 plus years. We actually got to know each other in the early 90s. Jim was a school board member and I was a town board member. There were a lot of things we agreed on. There were a couple things we disagreed on. For instance, we agreed that the IDA should be more involved with the school. We disagreed on where the Exit 8 connector should come out on Route 4 in North Greenbush. And we still disagree to this day on that, by the way. He still thinks it's right where it should be, and I don't. Obviously, I'm right. But they went with him on it. I don't know why. We served together as district superintendents, and we did this pretty amazing thing called Tech Valley High School that we put at the College of Nanotechnology, which then was part of the SUNY Albany, and maybe might be again. And the things that we got through on that were just quite amazing. The one thing I can tell you about him is he gets things done. He's got a heart, he cares, and we pretty much share the same political beliefs, so I like him. Commissioner Rosa. What an amazing communicator. What an amazing friend to superintendents. Whenever there's a new commissioner, you always wonder, what's it going to be like? What's it going to be like? Commissioner Rosa will call me morning, noon, or night to ask, what are superintendents saying about this? What are superintendents thinking about this? We usually get an opportunity to bring Jazz and Bob and Greg into the conversation. We have Zoom meetings with a lot of people that she sets up. But most importantly, when we were working through the final days of the mask mandate, she was our main source. Bob Lowry does a great job with the governor's office. Greg does incredible work with the legislature. I was talking to our friends at State Ed. Commissioner Rosa and I spoke that weekend that things were falling into place 15 times. That's how much she was depending on what superintendents were thinking and having to say. And the amazing thing was when the governor misquoted our position, it was actually the commissioner who I made the first call to. I said, did I say that? And she checked her notes and she said, no, I've got what you said right here. And this is what you said. And sure enough, she had the right notes. So it is my absolute honor and pleasure to invite two people who truly respect the superintendency. Both were superintendents, and we all know once you're a superintendent, at heart, you are a superintendent forever. Senior Deputy Jim Baldwin and the Commissioner of Education, Betty Rosa.
So thank you, Commissioner. Thank you, Dr. Baldwin. I don't want to repeat everything Chuck said, but I would be remiss if I didn't start by also saying, because it cannot be overstated, how very much we as school superintendents have appreciated the way you've approached us, certainly the way you've managed these last couple of years, this year in particular. We sat together in September. We never thought we would be going through what we did. And I, for one, am confident we would not have come out as strong and where we are today if it wasn't for your leadership. So please accept our great appreciation for that. But on another note, we know the word civility can never be more important than it is right now with what we see going on in our world. And you, Commissioner, at the beginning of February, released a statement on civility. So given the current political discourse around our state, around our world, how do you feel the ideals of civility that you shared should be applied to help support specifically students, schools, and communities?
Thank you, Phyllis. Let me just start by saying there was no accident that I picked the song. I had a moment when Jay said, "What song are you going to pick?" Woman, hear my roar. I mean, so I want to start by saying a quote that I love. It says, "A successful woman is one who can build a firm," and Phyllis, you'll appreciate this, "a firm foundation with the bricks others have thrown at her." And I really, truly, I want to give a shout out to all the women that have built, and men, have built a strong foundation with all the bricks that have been thrown at us. So in terms of civility, I want to start by saying that it's more about really acting. And, you know, a lot of times when people say you watch your tongue, more importantly, you watch your actions. Mm-hmm. And it's truly having the opportunity to always maintain the integrity of the work, always maintaining the fact that we know that these are frustrating times, and many of us work in environments where there's a lot that we are caretakers. We are trying to educate not only our children, the adults, our communities, but we are also individuals that negotiate constantly. And, you know, my opportunity to do this work is always about taking people sometimes from boiling through simmering and then into cooling. And the work of civility is really, truly foundational in everything we do, because our work is grounded on knowing that a civil society is the kind of society that we all want to reside in and that we want our children to be a part of. So there is no way that we can do this work in our landscape of educating our children and our communities without creating discourse, without creating opportunities to share, opportunities to engage in debates about differences, but getting us to a place in a civil kind of way that allows us to get to that aha moment and the understanding. It is not about challenging the system without challenging the system, knowing that we can get to a better place. So for me, civility is foundational, it is grounded, it is one of the pillars of the work that we do.
So addressing civility, and you mentioned the word discourse, one of the things we have noticed, and you know, forgive me for perhaps stating the obvious, it does appear as that the relationship between SED and state government has never been better than it is right now. Are we accurate in that feeling? And what do you think that implies for us and our schools moving forward?
Well, let me start by saying that actually right before this event, and I did invite Jim, even though it was a women's breakfast with the governor, I really have felt for a long time, and I've been on the board as a region chancellor and currently in this position, that somehow in governance that we have had this work in isolation, and that it's been a mantra of divide and conquer. It's been keeping us apart rather than bringing us together. It's been the kind of government that has not really valued and had the kind of understanding that we are so much stronger when we come together, when we collaborate, when we have a diverse of opinions, but that get us to a better place. And I have to say that many times people have said, well, you're an independent agency, so therefore. And I've said, no, I have my brothers and sisters out there, other commissioners, other people that are trying to do this work. And the only way that I know how to do this work is to do it together, to really bring into our landscapes of educating children the different voices and the contributions and the different expertise and talents. So I think the idea that we could do this with Commissioner Bassett was a really incredible opportunity. And she was in the same place. And I think the governor, I remember being invited to the mansion 2 weeks ago for a breakfast that was really, a dinner that was really for her staff. And it was the first time that I felt that I was a part of the family and not an outsider. And during that meeting, I did have an opportunity to meet with her on a one-on-one. And I realized during that time that it was the welcome mat was put out. And I had walked into a new phase of a potential new opportunity for all of us collectively. And that was so significant at that moment in time. And from there, we've had other conversations. As Chuck knows, I did get a call on Sunday, and about 11 o'clock when she said, would you join me? I know there's been a lot of work. Commissioner Bassett will be with me. And it was about 11 o'clock, and I'm thinking, Sunday through Thursday, I live up here. Usually Thursday evening, I drive back to the city. And at that time, my first reaction was, can you send me the helicopter? But I said, you know what? We're building the relationship, so I better stop short of that. It was sort of, the Betty from the Bronx moment kind of went into check. But I felt the real engagement. And she asked me, during that conversation, she asked me a couple of questions. And she said, no, I want you to be there virtually, and I want you to speak at the end. And I want you to give voices to the superintendents that have been working with you to make this a better situation for children and communities in terms of the guidance. So that was exceptional. And kudos to her and those individuals that have really made it possible. And this morning was a continuation of that. So I really, truly feel it's a new day, it's a new opportunity, and I think it's a new opportunity for all of us to really, truly appreciate not only the work that she's doing, but also the potential into the future.
Well, that sounds terrific and feels great, and only good things can come from that.
Absolutely.
So I'm going to shift a bit, and I do want to say and acknowledge representatives from your department were with us yesterday morning, I believe it was. They did a terrific job. Thank you for their time and their energies. But so the cat might have been let out of the bag a little bit on this. So if you can just elaborate, perhaps, Dr. Baldwin or Commissioner, about the current decision regarding Regents examinations for June.
We expect that the Regents examinations will be administered in June and in August, as they are every year except the last couple of years. We think, certainly based upon the experience that we're having right now with what we're hoping is an expiring pandemic or an expired pandemic, that it's really important for us to restore a sense of normalcy and to bring the Regents examinations, the 3 through 8 testing back, and our intention right now is to do that.
Thank you. So you heard Oliver speak earlier, obviously, about the important work we've been doing at the Council on Diversity, Equity, and Inclusivity, and we know SED, as he mentioned, has also been very much engaged on that. Would you like to just elaborate and perhaps clarify a bit more about the specific work that you are doing?
Sure. So let me say again, because I know that Dr. Oliver made mention of this. This work has been ongoing. This is not really new work, if you will, but it's been work that you collectively have been committed to and have been at different places engaging in this. And we did have a regents meeting, and we heard from some of the superintendents how challenging, even from way back, it has been. And with, in many cases, the support of the organization and the support of those in leadership to support DEI. One of the things that I know that when Judith Johnson was alive, we started a research group, and I really want to give her credit for really thinking about the issue of the importance of diversity, the importance of equity, and the importance of inclusiveness. And the conversation we would often engage in would go something like this. Do we believe that all children can learn? Do we have a core belief system that, in fact, we are making investments in all children? And if so, when we look at the investments and the resources, and we have the challenge of the issue of equity, then our belief systems have to be advanced into looking at not what we believe and what we say, but what our actions look like. And so with that, I think the board was really, truly committed to basically identifying DEI. It was a time when I think we were looking at the issue, the pipeline, the importance of creating diversity. And diversity in terms of staffing, diversity in terms of looking at how do we become much more inclusive and using the framework of culturally responsive education. How do we know that what we do every single day really does a welcoming, not a stay out type of environment? And so that our belief system and what we talk about and our actions are all aligned, similar to our teaching and learning, our standards, teaching and learning and assessment. They all have to have that alignment. And I think it's the same way. Our belief system, they have to be aligned to our actions and have to be aligned to everything we do about equity and inclusiveness, so that all children truly feel that they are very much a part of. The one issue that I think becomes challenging is the fact that all of you know, a house divided cannot stand. And we've had a lot of divisiveness, and we've had a lot of divided type of approach to our work, impacting on our work. And many of you have heard, of course, of the whole issue of when you think about CRT, right? And it's about, I said it on Friday, that unfortunately, when you think about critical race theory, the word race is in that word, not culturally responsive, but the word race. And so what it has happened is that issue of critical race theory has hijacked and in many ways has dominated and has really created the noise, has really created the confusion, the misalignment, and all the things that we truly in education try to battle about, getting to the truth. And this is what we call the opportunity to hijack the truth. Mm-hmm. And we have an obligation and we have an opportunity to really set the record straight that this is not about critical race theory, but rather it's about our belief system, that we truly believe in diversity, equity, and inclusiveness.
If I can add, the department requested resources in the budget to help support the DEI effort, and we were delighted that the governor did include some of those resources in the budget. We're also, Oliver mentioned an initiative that we've worked on with the district superintendents and the BOCES in terms of creating a platform upon which information about diversity, equity, and inclusion and resources that will assist districts and superintendents in terms of navigating the various issues will be housed. So in addition to the initiative of adopting the policy, the Board of Regents and the Commissioner have provided and will continue to provide resources to our school districts as they work through these issues at a district level. And I think it's really important for all of us to understand that what the board and the commissioner have done is really to summon each school district to engage in reflection about local policies, local strategies, local tactics, and how those impact the daily lives of our students. That is what this initiative is all about, and we're confident that as districts engage in what is a learning and adaptive process, that will improve the experience of all of our students in school districts throughout the state.
Thank you. We heard yesterday from Dr. Desiato, our Superintendent of the Year, and she left us with, if we really believe all means all, we have to reach each. So that for sure is the message that the superintendents are taking home with, going home with. So we want to continue to be partners with you on this very important work. Thank you. Yes, the team that we had also talked a bit about some changes in the department, which I believe goes along with the quest to be service-oriented, which we see, it's visible. But perhaps you want to just be a bit more specific about some of the changes along the lines of reaching your goal of being a service-oriented organization.
Sure. Well, you honored Christina Coughlin, and there she is, the personification of what we want the State Education Department to be in terms of a customer service agency. And I want to congratulate Christina and acknowledge her work. It is a well-deserved recognition. As we have indicated, we have two primary areas of focus, DEI and improving the customer service that the department provides. And improving customer service is really something that we approach on multiple levels. The first level really relates to the culture and the expectation that's created. And one of the things that the commissioner, the board, and the leadership of the department has created is an expectation that we are going to step up our game and that our first priority is going to be to serve our constituents and our stakeholders in a way that is responsive and that has integrity. So that addresses the issue of creating the expectation. And we all know that culture doesn't necessarily change quickly, but over time, as we hold that expectation forth and we continue to make improvements, that culture will be nurtured. As we have looked at how best to do that, we've really sort of zeroed in on, first of all, the structures that we have that exist currently in the department, and whether or not the structures that exist support the policy initiatives that we're undertaking. And we know that in some situations it does not. We have made and are intending to make some structural changes. I do want to welcome Angelique and Jason somewhere here. We have appointed two new deputies. Where are they? Okay. Let's welcome them. Jason, where are you? So, part of moving in this direction is selecting individuals who share those values and who have demonstrated through the work that they've done that they believe in customer service and they know how to make it happen. And these are two people who believe in customer service and are going to improve that as they assume these responsibilities. And I'm just very happy to welcome them to the team. We have identified certain areas where after really a decade or more of the department being deprived of resources, and I give the commissioner tremendous amount of credit here, she has been tenacious about asserting the fact that the department needs resources. She's done that with the governor's office. She's done that with the legislature. Based upon the allocation of resources that the governor proposed, the certification office will be getting attention. We have a massive investment in terms of the units that process state aid that'll be forthcoming. We have commitments to improve any number of different systems in the higher ed area. So the commitment to improving customer service starts with culture, people, resources. And we feel very optimistic that as we move through the coming fiscal year, as the budget is adopted, that we're going to have the resources that we need to ensure that we can make these improvements that will really be generational improvements for the department.
And Jim, yesterday morning, an announcement was made about some potential real changes in teacher certification, particularly in the special ed area.
Sure.
And I have to tell you, that is a perfect example of direct feedback that you got or the department got from superintendents, I think just a year ago. And the fact that we're there a year later is unprecedented. So it's just one small example, but thank you, thank you.
Well, and I will tell you that the way that we've approached the certification issue is to really look for kind of the low-hanging fruit. And then, and we're doing that, with special ed, we're doing that with literacy. We've heard you, we know where the pain points are, and we're trying to address those pain points as quickly as we can. We need to be sensitive to the fact that obviously the higher ed institutions also are involved in this process. And really, I have to say that they have been quite receptive to the various proposals that you have brought to us and that we have been shopping around with them. The only thing that they've indicated is that they need, in some cases, they'll need some transition time. I think there's a general recognition that we have made it too difficult and too expensive and too complicated to become a teacher. And we're addressing the first issues right now. The second wave of this will be to take a comprehensive look at the teacher and leader certification process in New York. We've invited you into this process, and we're serious about taking that on. Beyond that, we're going to create an Office of Teacher Leader Development. When you think about it, the rubber hits the road in the classroom and in the school buildings with our teachers, with our principals, with our school leaders. We need an office that focuses on how we support our teachers, how we support our school leaders, and we will be reorganizing the department to create that office and to create a focal point where we're going to focus on teacher development from pre-service education right through to certification, and then in-service training, mentoring, and continued development.
Fabulous. So as we close, one thing for sure I can guarantee you, we all want to look forward. We all want to move forward. So we know there were a couple of things that were really in the pipeline right before the pandemic, including graduation requirements. So I'll give you this opportunity to sort of address where SED is with that, and perhaps any other things that you see on the horizon that you want to make sure we keep our eyes and ears open to and be able to support you in any way we can.
Sure. So I'm I'm going to start in a couple of other areas, and then I'm going to let Jim has done, along with Emily and the team, and Kim. I can't thank Kim Wilkins enough for all the amazing work with grad measures. I mean, this started as a little article where people just immediately talk about bricks. They threw bricks at me that it means you're getting rid of the regions and on and on. And we took those bricks and we said, you know what, this is an opportunity to look at a composite, to look at and give voices to those that really want to see a comprehensive way to look at what a New York State diploma should look like. So it was really, truly an opportunity from that article of On Board. And from that, we started with Kim, the grad measures conversation. And it's been, we have 2 left. Jim is going to speak about this in a minute. But I do want to say to your question about those things that we're looking at, I want to step back for one moment and share with you that the reason I think we are at a key point is that we are looking to the future. And as I look around, and I know it's a little blinding with these lights, but I definitely do see some of the team that's here with both Angelique, Jason, Zach, many of the other individuals that are in the department. Our role for both of us, we keep saying, this is our last rodeo. And we want to absolutely leave individuals that are going to take this, and this meaning the department and the work, into the next phase. And because that's what leadership is about. It's really setting the stage for your good work, leaving it better than you found it, and then making sure that whatever the work is going on can be sustained and becomes grounded and can be improved as you go through. So we're very grateful for the exciting, innovative individuals that are coming into the house, and in some cases rearranging the furniture, and that's perfectly fine, and that's really what we want to happen. Jim and I have been truly invested, along with Sharon, in really looking across the board. Even yesterday we were having a conversation about financial literacy and how important it is. To many of you who have talked to us about the importance of financial literacy for our young people and for our economy. Many of us have been involved. I particularly love the idea of creating advocacy with across the street and making sure that we share what we're trying to do so that there's better understanding. We do that constantly with legislators, with people who passionately care about us, but want to have a better understanding of how they can support our work. So that connection with our legislators is extremely important. We cannot work in isolation and assume that they know our work. We have to constantly help them to understand and be the advocates that they want to be in this work. So for us is looking at that customer service, not just providing customer service to you, but also helping our partners in this work to really have a deeper understanding of your desires, your goals, your voice in everything that the department does. So for us, it's really looking at, obviously, DEI is foundational, customer service, P20, and what that means. We're even looking at the mentoring process and national teacher certification. How do we grow that? And more importantly, how do we create labs that allow teachers to really have university staff partner but demonstrate, continue to be talented in their own skills and afford us the opportunity to join forces in how, at the local level, the practice informs the work that's done at the higher ed, and the higher ed really gains their knowledge in terms of our everyday practice. And that is extremely important for that connection to take place. But getting to the grad measures, and obviously getting to the diploma issue, getting to the fact that we want to, once again, New York State be a place that's diverse, that we honor the issue of integration, that we know there's tremendous value, that we become a place that culture and language are celebrated, that those are positive, that we become a place of not only where civility is the method that we use to engage in dialogue, and so that we, once again, our state becomes a leader in this amazing space called our country. Mm-hmm. And so with that, Jim is going to talk about the specific of grad measures, and we want you to constantly, your criticism is our opportunity to grow, to be better at our craft, and to be better at our decision-making. So don't be shy, because certainly I'm not. Don't be shy about telling us, hey, to Chuck's point, you're putting that in the wrong place, or I think you're putting that in the wrong place. Chuck, there's still an opportunity to make that change, just so you know. So with that, Jim.
Sure, thank you. The grad measures work. This phase of it is about ready to conclude. We have 2 more sessions, one with business and higher ed, and another one with students. And I'm looking forward to participating in both of them. They're coming up in the next couple of weeks. I think, one of the things we need to keep an eye on are the implementation of the new generation learning standards. I think, certainly COVID has been more of a distraction than anybody thought it might be, but we have those standards being implemented, and we intend to stay on track in terms of the implementation timeframe as it was adjusted during the COVID crisis. So I think those are 2 areas where we look at the future. We're looking at we've had some conversations with NISCUS and the other stakeholders on the future of technology platforms in education. Mm-hmm. We know that the taxpayers, through our school districts, through the federal government, the state government, have invested mightily in the development of technology platforms. We want to ensure that those platforms are maintained, and that our school districts are in a position where they can think about how to use those platforms creatively, innovatively, consistent with the theme of your conference. And how do we use those platforms to expand opportunities for students? We have an issue that has emerged around homebound instruction, which really kind of came to our, it's always been sort of out there, and I've always wondered about why we do homebound instruction the way we do it. But I think that the pandemic, the experience of having students in quarantine and getting, 1 or 2 hours a day sort of brought this to the fore. We are looking forward to having conversations about how we might better use technology. When we think about homebound students tend to be some of our most vulnerable students, and yet somehow we ended up in this place where, we give them 1 hour or 2 hours of instruction a day. We need to have a chat about how we're going to address that going forward.
So it certainly sounds like we have a whole lot to look forward to. So Dr. Baldwin, Commissioner, any final words before we say thank you to you extensively for your time and your leadership?
Well, I just want to turn this back on thanking you, because obviously without your voices, without your support, and you have been absolutely through not only just the pandemic, but recently with the whole issue of looking at the guidance. Amazing. I mean, really, truly helping us to advance an issue with the very, very voice that you give to us in terms of your everyday practice. And knowing that we have you as a partner, that you are courageous leaders, that you are taking these issues on and living them every single day, and doing it with the kind of grace and I would say the amazing commitment and passion, because I know you do your work with amazing passion, is really a covenant that I know we have with you. And we will continue to honor that covenant as we advance the kind of work that we need to do to support you in doing your work on behalf of children, families, and communities. And I am so grateful that I am being given the opportunity to serve and to serve you. Thank you.
So thank you all so very much. I just want to say to everyone in this room and everyone who was with us these last couple of days, thank you for making this conference such a huge success. It will be something I will personally and professionally remember for the rest of my life. Be safe. Please enjoy the rest of this ride that's going to get us to the end of the year. Be well. Thank you, friends.